Hello, and welcome to ATA with Danny and Ray. My name is Rachel, also known as Ray. And who are you, sir?
Rachel, what are you drinking? Rachel, what are you drinking?
What? Daniel, what is your name?
You said your coffee was getting cold.
Dude, would you just introduce yourself?
My name is Daniel. On another note, Rachel, what are you drinking?
Okay, fine. I am drinking boring old decaf coffee, but I would just like to say that it is in a mug that I got from Dollar Tree that says wifey, and that is relevant to today's episode. So keep that in mind. That's
pretty cool.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking whole bean coffee. Not that I brewed it whole bean, but I just love grinding beans and making coffee. Maybe it's just like exercising my demons, getting angry at the beans and just beating them up. I don't know, but it makes good coffee.
Okay. Wow. Oddly enough, that's still on theme for this episode. Yeah. So we're doing great so far. Yeah. Okay. If all of these random clues didn't clue you in, today we watched Season 1, Episode 1 of the anime show Yokai Watch. Before I ask anything else, Daniel, I just have to know, have you ever seen this show before?
Nope.
Okay, second question. What show did this remind you of?
Like the kids' Pokemon version of Bleach. That's the best way I could describe it. Okay. If you took the littlest kid's form of Pokemon and smack dab slammed it into Bleach Season 1, this was it. This was it.
I was not expecting the Bleach twist, but I want to hear your thoughts on that later. So, let me pull up the... Yeah, Pokemon was instantly my first thought, and that actually is relevant, and we'll talk about that later. But let me pull up the basic plot of this show for our audience here. In Yokai Watch, during an excursion in the woods, a boy named Nate happens upon an ancient tree with a machine that dispenses a capsule. Upon opening it, Nate meets Whisper, a ghost-like spirit who schools him in the lore of yokai, unseen beings who influence people's behavior in mischievous and cruel ways. Whisper gives Nate a special watch that allows him to see the yokai and to call on others who can counteract those who cause trouble for unsuspecting victims. Dun dun dun. Dana, I gotta ask you because I want to make you think. If you could summarize the episode, obviously we've only seen one episode. If you could summarize the episode we saw today in 3 words, what would you choose as your 3 words?
A D D ADD.
ADD.
I felt like I was thrust into a moving train of a plot that took off before I could figure out what was going on. And then literally every 5 seconds was Whisper joking about something through the whole show. And like nothing but slapstick humor from the beginning to the end, with the plot that I felt like I was being thrown into it like Mach 10. And so yes, my eyes were stuck wide open the whole time as I was trying to hyper focus on what in the world was going on.
Hey, don't give away too much because we're not even like.
I know.
Maybe we should just warn people now. We'll say if we recommend it or not. And then we'll jump into be forewarned there are spoilers. But Daniel, would you recommend this show to someone?
I don't know. Listen, I'm going to mention there is something in this show, Rachel, that I just absolutely detested. I'm not going to mention it yet. You'll probably know what it is once I say it. It was only one thing. And it wasn't even that long. but it just hurt. It hurt my being, like, deeply. And
so, Daniel, would you recommend it or not?
I guess I wouldn't. I don't know. It wasn't bad. There was one thing. It went for about 1 minute and 30 seconds that I could not handle. And then everything else was, like, tolerable. But it just really felt like Pokemon and Bleach thrown into, like, Sesame Street. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
Hey, that's speaking too highly if you're saying Sesame Street.
No, it was okay. I guess, okay, let me hear what you would do. I don't know if I'd recommend it or not. I don't know. It's more like who I'd recommend it to. I'm not sure. What would you say?
I don't think I would personally recommend it just because I didn't enjoy it. However, based on YouTube comments, apparently there are people who grew up and loved it. So yeah. I would be like, hey, it's not my cup of tea, but maybe it's yours.
Yeah, so it's probably one of those things where it's like, if you go back and watch Avatar Last Airbender now with someone who has never watched it growing up, they'd be like, what is this? But then you go back and watch Avatar Last Airbender.
No, they'd be like, this is the best thing that ever happened.
I've seen it, though. People who've never seen it and have zero emotional attachment to it do view it differently than those who grew up with it. The same thing happened when I showed my wife Star Wars. I was like, did you see that? Did you catch the... And then I realized, like, oh, I'm mostly just attached to this because I grew up watching.
I don't know. My husband did not grow up watching. My husband is like the furthest person that you would think would like anime-esque things. And he really enjoyed Avatar The Last Airbender.
Well, there's a good... But we're not reviewing that. Although if you wanted to switch really fast now, I'd be okay. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, let's dive into this train wreck, shall we?
Yes.
Daniel, let me just give you the backstory of why this show happened.
Yeah, I would love to know, because I was really wondering as I was watching it.
I actually mentioned this in a previous episode we did together. I was in Dollar Tree. I'm going through the DVD sections, and I'm like, is this an anime series? And I look, and there's a whole Yokai Watch Season 1, Volume 1, with like packaging and a little comic book and everything for $1. And I'm like, either this is going to be the best thing in the world or absolute trash, and I have to find out.
Yeah.
And so that is how Yokai Watch happened.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So I had no idea this thing existed, but apparently kids grew up watching it. So let me run some facts about this show for our audience and for you, Daniel. This show is TVY7, so it is intended for a young audience. The ratings, IMDb gave it a rating of 5.8, and my anime list was a rating of 6.5, so
and those
not
are out
a
of
whole
10,
lot
right?
better. I believe so, yeah. So Yokai Watch is actually a video game franchise. So the anime was a television series based on the game by OLM. It started in Japan and actually began airing on Disney XD here in the States on October 5th, 2015. Actually, these notes say it aired in Japan on Disney XD.
Oh, so it's not like
apparently
old.
Japan has Disney XD. Well, I mean, 2015 was like 7 years ago now, so that's a thing.
I guess it is. That's super weird.
Yeah, it's from 2015, and apparently there are 6 movies that have been made from this franchise. That's something that I'm really curious about because, not to give away too much, but the show is very lacking in, like, intense plot. It's very comedic and just kind of goofy. And I would love to see if the movies are more intense. But that's a side. And that's all I have for fast facts.
Yeah.
Should we jump in?
We should.
All right. Spoilers are coming, guys. Daniel, lay it on me. What did you really think of Yokai Watch?
I'll put it this way. When you sent it to me, I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. So I sat down and started it. 5 minutes in, And then I was like, I think I have something better to do. And so then I went back for a while. And then I came back later and I was like, I still need to watch this. And so I sat down and just watched it all the way through. And, yeah. What did I really think? I'll be honest with you, just didn't. I got through it. I didn't enjoy it. And it's not that the show was entirely like trash. Like, I'm not like just gonna badmouth it entirely. Because it was clean, which was a plus. But
it was.
I have to tell you,
didn't look
the
bad.
one thing, and no one even cares probably as much as I do, the one thing that every good anime needs, and this fell short, was a good theme song. The theme song for this thing was the weirdest thing I'd ever listened to. I was embarrassed. I was looking around to see if anyone else could hear me. Because I was like, I was in my house alone, but I still looked around. I was still worried. Because I thought people would think, I don't know. I just was so, somehow the music could get so awkward that I was embarrassed to watch it by myself. And I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the theme song. It was so bad.
I was looking at some videos today on YouTube trying to get some more thoughts from the general public on this.
Yeah.
The theme song in the Japanese version is a little bit different, and a lot of people were saying that it just doesn't translate well. As in, like, whenever they try to take a Japanese theme song and then make an English version, it just ends up being trash, and apparently that was the
I
case
wondered,
in this
I figured it'd
too.
probably be better. And people who genuinely watch anime are going to, like, laugh that we watched the English dub, but, like, the English dubbed theme was so bad. So bad. And that's just down to production. That's not even, like, content. We're not even talking about content.
Dana, would you mind, like, telling our audience, because I'd love to hear how you word this, like, what happens, just briefly, what happens in episode 1?
A boy wants to impress a girl by getting a weird bug.
Aw, Nate and Katie.
And in doing so, finds essentially like a gashapon gumball machine out in the woods that keeps singing, "Feed me, feed me." And he puts in the coin, he breaks open the Pokemon ball, and finds a bleach hollow. And then, who happens to also be a part-time comedian.
Yes.
Named Whisper. And not a good one.
Not a good one at that.
Yeah, and then that's basically the rest of the show right there is just the Whisper show.
The whole thing is about the watch. You got to mention what the watch is.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so yokais are essentially spirits that make phenomenon happen in the world of Japan. And so Whisper, this ghost, this yokai, gives Nate this watch that if he points in the right direction, lets him see under the beam of the watch, lets him see other yokai. So essentially it enables him. That's why the name is called Yokai Watch, which I always thought when I heard Yokai Watch, it was like on the watch for yokai, not like I have a watch that lets me see yokai. So that was different. Yeah, just not the turn that I was expecting. Like, even the conflict in the show, I don't know if I could tell you exactly what the plot was, what his goal was. Aside from, I guess, trying to keep the peace amongst the yokai and the humans.
And even that, I don't feel like he wasn't really pursuing peace. It was just like, this is inconvenient. I should do something about it.
The show got me to bust a chuckle once.
Okay, what moment? Please tell me.
It's whatever the name of the sad yokai is. There are so many characters in this show. It's like there's like a list of 40 of them. I can't even find her.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, guys. We're professionals here, clearly.
Well, okay. You do have to recognize, too, maybe it's also because we weren't necessarily impressed.
I had this stuff written down, and then I lost the paper I wrote it down on, so that's the thing.
You weren't supposed to tell them that. You weren't supposed to say that on the air.
I mean, I'm on top of life.
Okay, the part that made me laugh was whenever Whisper is supposed to tell Sadness, essentially, to leave. Yep. this right here. I'm just going to listen to it right now. I know this is on the podcast. Yeah, my favorite part was he was like, "Hey, Whisper here. Mind getting your bloody butt out of this house?" That was the part that did really make me laugh just because of how blunt it was. And I was just not expecting it.
Why don't I remember that line?
Oh, I actually did laugh at that because it was just like, just a gut punch out of the blue. Where he was like, it's either negotiation or confrontation. And Nate's like, why don't you give it a try? He's like, okay. He's like, hello, Whisper here. Why don't you get your bloody butt out of this house? And I was like, oh my word. So I did find that funny.
Oh man.
The one good joke.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so it seems like, okay, to kind of circle back around, it seems like the main plot was that Nate gets thrust into this world of, essentially a parallel world of yokai that are everywhere that influence the world around him and the people around him and their behaviors and everything. And so he begins to, with his Ghost Whisper, with the watch that he can see other yokai with, essentially try and keep the peace or help certain yokai pass on that haven't passed on or resist dying or stuff like that, which is very Bleach-like. And even the way that he finds the yokai is very Bleach-like and Pokemon-like.
Okay, can we talk about that intro? When I first started watching this show, like the first time I popped it in, I'm like, okay, let's see what this is all about. I was actually like entranced with the idea of this kid ending up in the middle of the woods and finding an ancient gumball machine. Just imagine that with like animation from any like TV 14 anime show. Little edgy, little dark. And then instead of like Whisper coming out, it was actually, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Could that not have been the most epic beginning to an amazing show?
Yeah.
Like,
unique.
There's so much potential. It actually makes me so sad that like that couldn't have been a thing.
Actually, do you want to know one of my favorite parts of the entire show?
Yeah.
Was when it was quiet and you could hear the cicadas.
Oh.
The only reason why is, if you notice, if you watch episode 1, if I could describe the whole show, aside from saying ADD like I did earlier, is it's like just loud, beginning to end, like nonstop loud. Like everything is happening at like max volume. Everybody's always yelling at each other, and there's always slapstick humor happening. That when the one scene happened where things were chill, and there was just a nice scenery, and he's walking, and you can hear the cicadas, I was like, this is nice. This is really nice. And it just, because, like, that's the only thing I would say is this type of humor, I actually like slapstick humor and funny side comments when things happen. But the difference was, it happened, like, every 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, you can tell it's a kid's show. It's definitely a kid's show.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I think this is the first kids show we've done together.
Yeah, I guess it is TVY7. I didn't think about that.
If you think about it, we're jumping from like stuff made for teens and adults with high thinking content, high concept stuff to I found a gumball machine and out popped an annoying ghost.
Yeah, I guess once again it does go back to, I think it is a kid's show. And so it does make a big difference in that regard. But it is funny. Did you notice it seems to try and edge on both spectrums a little bit, it seems?
Oh, yeah? How so?
I don't know. It just seems like it's not full-fledged, like, I don't know how else to say it. I guess I could still see if you were a kid growing up watching it that you could probably go back and watch that and enjoy it. If that's what you grew up watching and you had those memories of it.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah, it's not like for baby little kids. Maybe that's why I never got into Pokemon, is because I feel like even Pokemon is more appealing to me than this show is.
I've never actually seen it.
I've only seen little bits and pieces, and I couldn't get through it either. But
yeah,
and I'm not, and Pokemon's super popular, so that's not really me declaring it to be horrible.
Right.
It's just, it's not appealing to me, which is my opinion. And apparently a lot of people disagree with me. So People are going to think we hate this, that it's trash, and that it's like, I'm never going to watch this. Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Well, I won't go back and watch it.
From watching this episode, and if I tried to get to episode 5 when I originally watched this, and I don't think I ever did. Whisper is seemingly like the comedic, I would say he's the comedic focal point of the whole show. Like, the whole point of the show seems, at least from the little bit that I saw, seems to be like focusing on comedy, everyday life, and oh man, these yokai, they're messing with my life again. How are we going to fix things, and what's Whisper going to do this time? Did you find Whisper appealing at all? Like, did you think he was funny, enjoyable, lovable?
Yeah, I don't know. I only watched the first episode, obviously. Like I said, I found that one comment in the show really funny.
Right.
But I don't know if I necessarily got, invested in any way, really. If that makes sense. And like I said, maybe it's one of those things where it's the first episode, and the first episode they're always trying to just get you into the show as fast as possible. A lot of that stuff happens after more context. But yeah, I didn't necessarily feel any attachment anyway.
Because, I feel like he's supposed to be the comedic catch for kids. He's supposed to be like, oh my goodness, he's so funny. I don't know if it was my inner mom or my inner teacher came out when Whisper tricked. So Whisper literally tricks Nate into putting this watch on, and then later tells him, oh, by the way, you can never take this off and your life will never be the same again.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did that happen in episode 1 and I just missed that?
Yeah. He's like, you can never take it off. And yeah, it was like towards the end of the first half of episode 1. And I was like, you did not just do that. You're supposed to be funny, but let's be honest, you are manipulative and evil because you are forever affecting this young man's life. And I got very protective over Nate. So
I did have a 10-second moment where I lost the audio. I was doing something while watching it, and then I couldn't hear it for 10 seconds, and I was trying to catch context again. And I thought I caught what happened. It probably actually was, because it was near halfway through, or a little over. I didn't realize it was permanent. That's the one thing I missed out of that whole thing. You know what else threw me off, too, about that? Is, do you notice with the weird cat yokai that won't let go, that he became friends with it, but it seemed like he was already friends with Whisper to begin with, and should have gotten a gem as well already.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first thing I thought, was he was with Whisper way longer than this.
That's a really good point, because in the next episode or two, he bumps into other yokai. There's one in particular that, what does it do? It makes really embarrassing, it makes them confess the most embarrassing stuff they did, I think. Or something like that. And a blabbermouth kind of a thing. I don't remember them ever actually getting her, what is it, a gem, a token. It's supposed to be like the Pokeball, right? Because later in this series, the whole idea is that you can pull out the chip and be like, hey, I need your help, come help me. But, sorry, now I'm just going on a tangent. The thing you find out is they're your friends. They're not your pets, like with Pokemon. So when you summon them to help you, they are under no obligation to do so. So if you're in a life or death situation and you're like, come help me, and the yokai doesn't really like you that much, you're done. Sorry, you picked the wrong yokai.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that. Is that what later in episodes?
Yes, I think it's the second or third episode you find that out, and it's oh, I hope Nate picks the right one.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Could you imagine, you're in a life or death situation, right? You're like, I'm in the middle of the ocean. I need a water yokai. Whips it out. Turtle or whatever, help me. And then they're like, I don't really feel like it. I'm kind of busy right now. See ya.
That could change the show from TVY7 to TV12, if that existed. Nate drowns in the 6th episode. because the one yokai didn't help him.
Oh my goodness.
And then it's just about Whisper.
Oh,
tricking
no.
other people to put watches on. So I was looking at our thoughts here on the show.
Oh, I see your cursor there.
Oh, actually, I think I put it there by accident. I was just clicking around, which I didn't realize I was clicking, and so I'm really scared that came up on the audio a bunch. But
if you guys hear a bunch of clicking, it's all me.
Fault. I was just randomly clicking while listening.
What was your thing you noticed, Daniel?
Oh, just that there was lots of video games made off of this, and it was just weird that it was coming out of a video game. Like, the show coming out of a video game is always interesting content-wise. Normally, you see the opposite happening. Which is getting more popular that movies are made from video games because some do have great stories. It's happening more and more.
I was going to say, I feel like I've seen that happen more and more.
Yeah, it's gotten more popular like in the last 10 years of making shows off of video games.
What are some ones like, there's like Prince of Persia was one.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed was another. I wouldn't recommend this. I just know that it was made from this. I know they made the Witcher show from the Witcher games, but those are all really inappropriate.
Oh, okay. I really know nothing about it, so.
Good. Perfect.
But
I just know it's just all bad.
I just watch Yokai Watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head that they've done more serious, like big production for video games. It's not huge yet. Like, they're doing it, but a lot of times it's video games are made off of big hit movies, not vice versa. Like, no one's, to my knowledge, made like an Elder Scrolls, an Elder Scrolls film. They have made a World of Warcraft film, which I have no idea if that was a big hit or not. So yeah, it doesn't happen a whole lot.
That's such an interesting concept. You would hope that there'd be enough people interested in the video game to make it worth doing this show.
Yeah.
I actually watched some, I guess, what is it called? Playthrough or?
Yeah, Let's Play.
Yeah, I watched some Let's Play of Yokai Watch by a guy called John Awesome. I cannot vouch for any of his content. I just watched like some of him playing the first, like the intro of the game. It was actually like really funny because first of all, he does all the voices and reads them quite enthusiastically. And it's just watching him go through it, I actually feel like I would enjoy playing the game.
Yeah.
Because while the chill kind of lack of a plot isn't so fun in a series, that same chill approach to the game actually seems kind of enjoyable.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I was like, I could play this.
What else do you have here? I like you wrote something here on our sheet that says anime felt super slow to me, especially with 3 mini stories in a single episode. I didn't realize that. Now that I think about it, there really were 3 separate plots that all took place in one episode.
I think there was 2 in the first one, and then later on there's as much as like 3 or so in one single episode, and it's very painful.
I do wonder if once again it comes back to the fact that that was supposed to be for a younger audience, and so changing things up a lot makes it, doesn't make it better, but it seems to cater to our modern attention spans better.
And also, like, each show has a different goal and taste, and obviously this is meant to be very chill. It's not meant to be, we have this grand thing. Yeah, it's painful, but it is what it is. I would seriously be very interested in checking out one of the movies someday, because apparently I saw in a couple comments on YouTube somewhere that, I don't know which film, because there's 6 of them, which it was, but they said it looks like there are actual battles like in the video games.
Yeah, maybe it would be better.
I feel like it would be so much better. You'd actually have something to risk your life and yokai friends for if they'll back you up, you know?
Yep. Well, let's rate it.
Can I ask you one thing before we
Sure.
rate it? Not question. It's more of like an interesting thought. There's a website called Common Sense Media. It's where like a lot of parents and adults rate it for other parents for kids. And they made the point that this show is a visual, how did they word it? Something along the lines of like a visual way to help kids work through emotions. Did that cross your mind?
No, but I don't like it. I don't like it because it's a poor visual representation because it shows that the problem is not you. It's something else making you do it.
Yes, I hate that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. If it is, it's not a good representation because it's like, blame it on the yokai.
Okay, can we talk about that though? Because like, we're Christians, we read the Bible, we are very much aware that there are dark spiritual powers, there are demons, they are real. But like, I feel like this makes it seem like that kind of stuff either totally manipulates our lives and we're not really responsible for our actions, and also kind of makes it like, haha, that's funny.
Yeah, it definitely.
I don't know.
And I think a lot of times, at least in Japanese films, they pull off of this concept like a ton. Like the supernatural is like in every single show, even in like regular slice of life stuff. It seems like the supernatural at times even still gets plugged in.
I wonder if that's part of their culture and religion, because obviously Christianity is not the dominant religion in Japan. It
definitely seems heavily inundated in like everything they do,
which is really interesting.
I definitely think it's one of those things where it's an unhealthy view of like dealing with emotions because it disconnects you from any kind of, and this is like if you were to ultra apply what's being visually represented in the show.
Right.
If you really follow the logic, it just says essentially that you aren't responsible for the way you feel or act. And essentially, there's a yokai messing with you. And if it wasn't there, you wouldn't.
Or inspiriting you.
If you weren't acting this way, it's like, all the yokai's fault, So either you're justified because it wasn't your fault. It's almost like a can't control myself type of vibe. Justified.
Could you watch this as a family and have a really good discussion about this stuff? Absolutely. You could take this show that's kind of painful for us and make it actually a really good discussion point with your kids. I just don't know that I would want to sit through this and talk about that discussion with this show. I'd be like, let's have this discussion without watching this.
Yeah. You know what I'd rather watch with my kids than this show? At a 7-year-old age?
Don't say Bleach.
No, Lord of the Rings. I'm just saying, I watched it when I was 7. I watched it when I was 7.
Daniel.
With Dad.
How did you survive with orgs?
Because
is it?
It's orcs. It's orcs.
Oh, sorry.
Orcs came from our movies. Orgs. That was from movies that we've made.
Whoops.
I don't know. I didn't. I had nightmares. They were going to jump through my window and stab me in my sleep. But I still loved it. I still loved The Lord of the Rings. And side note, it has a great distinction between good and evil. Where the lines aren't great. This is not even anything animated. Why am I bringing this up? Maybe it's because there's moral. If you want to like get super into the message of the media in this show, if you really wanted to actually follow it out, like if they were genuinely trying to communicate something, which, honest to goodness, they might not be. They could just be like, this is a funny concept. Let's just be goofy.
Right. Yeah.
But if they were trying to communicate something, it does bring in some moral gray lines here or there. In the sense of personal responsibility. If you want to follow that out.
If you're going to take it to the ultimate extreme and be like, okay, I just yelled at my best friend. It's not my fault.
Yep.
I just treated someone horribly. It's probably because a yokai. But
yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
Do you think there are kids that actually believe this stuff?
Probably. I don't know. People believe a lot of crazy stuff. So, it's very possible. Doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, And to think this all started because Nate wanted to find a bug to show off for Katie.
Yep, just goes to show you don't need a cool bug. Otherwise, you get enslaved by a magical Pokemon Hollow from Bleach. To join his comedic wanderings throughout the yokai world.
Oh my goodness. I genuinely hope the show got better with time. I really do.
I hope so too.
I really believe, I want to believe that it does get better.
I want to believe there's a spot you can start 3 seasons down the way where you can still get the story, but just get a better show, so you don't have to start in season 1. You know, it's like Stargate. It's like Stargate, where all of Stargate was good, but from season 1 to season 10 of Stargate SG-1, it got progressively better with like special effects.
Oh, it did.
And the bad guys not looking so cheesy. And you're like, you like go to show someone the show and you're like, I'm so sorry about seasons 1 through 3 with how cheesy everything looks. It's still got good story, but it's so cheesy. It's like when you show someone the first season of Doctor Who and you're like, it is good. It is super cheesy, all the effects.
Yes.
But it is good. And it's just funny.
I feel that.
Yeah.
People are going to hate us now. Like, there's going to be, like, SG-1 fans, Doctor Who fans.
Well, no,
and we love these shows.
I actually love SG-1, and I love Doctor Who, so I don't like Yokai Watch. So, I mean, listen, we've been looking at mostly good stuff for the last few episodes. I'm feeling like I'm actually getting a little more relaxed, being able to just talk about something I don't like.
Isn't that weird how it's like this whole time you're like, I enjoy this, I'm not sure what to rate it, and you're like, no, now's the time to bash it against the wall.
I've waited too long.
Dino, do you have any final thoughts before we rate this and wrap this up?
I don't know. Yeah, it's just disconnected plot. Maybe that's what it comes down to. It's loud and a very like uneven plot flow. For me, it felt like I just like was kind of just watching stuff happen with nothing really being connected. Like, you know, a good show will draw you into the next episode whether you want it to or not because it pulls your interest. Mm-hmm. And actually, that doesn't bother me as much as it used to. That used to bother me when they try to get you to watch the next episode. But then I realized that when they're doing that, if it's a good show and they're doing that, then what they're doing is keeping continuity to remember what's happened, you know?
Oh, uh-huh.
So they're really connecting you into the next thing.
Part of that might be because it's a kid's show. I feel like a lot of...
Oh, yeah.
Not all, but many kids' shows are quite episodic in nature. I mean...
And disconnected episodic.
Take Arthur, for example. I love Arthur, but you're never wondering, oh my goodness, last time on Arthur GW found a unicorn. What's going to happen this time? Like, no. It's like, you forget it happened.
Yeah, I guess there is no last time and this time. It's all just happens. So that could really be it. And like I said, maybe we're like over-criticizing something that is not even on the level that we're talking about.
There's going to be people that adore Yokai Watch and listen to this and give us so much hate.
Yeah, watch it be like, I'm not making fun of our own podcast, but we probably don't have the largest following in the world. And watch us lose like half of them because half of them were like Yokai Watch fans growing up. And we just like come on the show and be like, guess what? Nope. Actually,
I would love it if you happen to get this far, if you actually do listen to our show, please watch the first episode of Yokai Watch and let us know what you think. Like, I want to know your genuine opinion of the show.
But if you want to skip the theme song, please. That's fine. You can do that. You'll do yourself a huge favor. You'll save your eardrums. Yeah, I'll put it this way. I could still get through it, though. Okay? I'm patient. Like, I'll watch stuff and listen to stuff. I listen to music I don't even enjoy sometimes because I just want to, like, listen to something different. So I'm not the type of person, like, I'll put it this way. I am not the type of person that controls the music that's being played in the car when I'm with other people. I'm the person that just defers to everybody else and listens to their genres because I'm just able to do that. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
So with that in mind, even if a show is not that great, in my opinion, I can still power through it and like try to rightly evaluate it, if that makes sense. And try to pull out some positive goods, like that one really good joke, you know, right in the middle of the show, which still made me laugh. And I'll probably go back and watch it again afterwards because it made me laugh.
Should we rate this sucker?
Let's do it. You want me to go first?
Well, let's set the stage, though. We've been saying 1 is like, this is the worst thing in the world. 10 is, it's a masterpiece. 5, it's passable. It's not great. It's not bad. It is what it is. Where would Yokai Watch fall on your personal rating for a 1 to 10 scale?
Since this is your recommendation, I'm going to go first so you get the last word. I have a number that's been sitting in my head, and I don't know if it's just because of the theme song.
Oh, no.
You're funny. Don't worry. I'm not going to over-exaggerate. I would give it a 2.5. That's what I would give it. That's where I'm at. And here's my reasoning.
Okay.
I can't think of a soul on planet Earth that I would send this show to. That's the first thing. Like,
that's valid.
I can't think of one person I would send this show to genuinely say, hey, you should watch this. And that heavily affects my rating because when something is a 10, like, my kids are going to grow up knowing about it. Like Lord of the Rings. It had such a huge effect on my life. I think it has a wonderful message and an incredible story. And so, like, in my mind, that's a 10 masterpiece. So it's really hard in my mind to be like, oh, I can recommend this to somebody for me to give it, any kind of high rating. So it's not because I hate it. I can't think of anybody that I would even think of sending this to watch.
That's valid.
But once again, I'll probably go back and watch that joke again just because it made me laugh.
Oh, goodness. I need to rate this.
Here's the thing that's messing with me too. You have to keep in mind, we also were rating other shows at like 7, 8s, and 9s. So you have to remember, that's what helped me too. I had to think about, okay, I put some of those other ones that I genuinely really thought were good in like the 7s or 8s. But
that's a good point. I think I'm going to give it a 3. Personally, because obviously just my enjoyment level in general is like pretty non-existent. However, I do want to recognize, like, there are probably kids out there that genuinely enjoy this show. The animation wasn't bad.
I guess that's true. I didn't think about that.
Like, the animation's actually decent. If that style of humor is your style of humor, I could see how people could really enjoy it. And if you're looking for a chill show that's not high stakes and just kind of a dumb laugh, you might enjoy this. However, I do not. So that's why I'm leaving it. It's not that it was horrific. It just wasn't good either. But like, it was well made. You can tell it was like, visually, it was well made.
They had a budget, that's for sure.
Yeah, like, it's not like some random, and this isn't to bash creatives on YouTube, because creatives on YouTube are like fighting an uphill battle. But it's not like someone was in their basement creating a YouTube video and called it a series, you know? Like, They actually had like decent voice actors, decent animation. Like, it's just that their choices in storyline, humor, and the whatnot are just like, no thank you.
Yep.
So maybe I'd give it a 3.5.
Can I say,
because like
3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5 because, well, I did not enjoy it. It does have good qualities. It's not enough for me to want to watch it ever again.
Yep. Can I just say something? I was really scared coming into this episode that you sent this to me because you genuinely enjoyed it, and I was very scared to be the bearer of bad news. And so it does make me happy to hear from someone who generally gave the shows we watched a higher rating than me, the fact that you were actually closer to where I was feeling, because I was really scared that for some reason you liked it and I was going to hurt your feelings.
I'm torn now. Do I do a 3 or a 3.5?
No, I'm not trying to make you redo your rating. I'm just telling you the funny thoughts that I was having before this started. I literally was telling my wife
Daniel,
before we started, like, if she likes this, I'm going to feel really bad because I didn't know what to do.
Oh, Daniel, what would you have done? What would you have done if I was like, I love this show?
I don't know. I don't know what I would have done.
Oh my goodness. That would have been so funny. I wish I had actually, like, gone with that for a little while and been like, Daniel, I love this show.
Yeah.
Like, this changed my life.
Oh, man.
No, I had to do something that I was like, because I feel like most of the shows we've done so far, one of us knew it or liked it. And I'm like, you know what? I found this at Dollar Tree.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I have no reason to
you
know.
You need some cool name
so
for this. Like this episode, like $1 anime, was it worth it? Or something like that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hi, my name is Rachael from ATA with Danny and Ray. I bought a $1 volume of anime from Dollar Tree. Was it worth it? Let's find out.
You think about how that plays out with payment.
Terribly.
Like, you split that up with all the co-creators. You get 3 creators. That's 25 cents a piece, plus profit of an extra 25 cents.
What's even more depressing is it's free on YouTube.
Yeah, no one's fighting for it. There's no copywriters trying to get a hold of it. They just gave up. It's just up there.
They're like, we know. We all know.
I feel so bad for there's someone listening who, like, maybe even genuinely loves the show, and we're just, but that's okay. That's why it's personal opinions. You know what? If someone likes it this much, they won't even be offended by 2 nobodies joking about it. So.
Oh man, yeah, that's true. And there's not really any way to know because all the Yokai Watch episodes are on the YouTube Kids, so you can't comment.
Oh,
so,
what do you know?
It's really hard to find genuine.
Wow, they don't even let you
internet.
see the dislikes. There's 13. The episode 1 has 1 million views. Okay, this was far more popular than I thought.
Oh, Daniel, it was actually giving Pokemon a run for its money for a while there. Like,
that's weird. But
then
weird.
Pokemon picked up speed again and kind of knocked it out.
That's crazy.
I would be actually really interested in looking into watching other people's more researched reviews and seeing, like, the rise and fall of this empire, you know?
That's crazy.
Like, that would be so interesting.
Yeah.
So while I may not enjoy the show, I'm very much interested in seeing how this franchise is really doing. And, like, what happened to it.
Yeah, I'm interested too. See if it really took off or not. It looks like they have a lot of views on YouTube. That surprised me. I thought it was going to be like in the... Not at 1 million. I thought it'd be like 100,000 or something like that. I didn't realize it was that big.
Well, it was on Disney.
It must have had something for a while.
Disney was interested in it. So, like, I mean, we rate it what we rate it, but clearly there are people that enjoy this thing, so... Well, guys, do I leave it at a 3 or 3.5? 3 or 3.5? I'm going to leave it at 3.5 because I do recognize that it is popular.
Hey, I'm sticking to my 2.5. That's all right. Not that you have to change yours, but that's just the vibe I got. I actually, to be honest with you, I had 2 stuck in my mind, but I felt like that was only because of the theme song. And so I try to be more realistic and forgiving and bump it up to a 2.5. Because I really have to save that 2-in-1 slot for something truly detestable. You know? If I jump...
Right, and we're going to come across that.
And that's why I have to, like, I really have to keep that in mind. So, like, that 2.5 is a very positive 2.5.
Oh, man.
Very positive 2.5.
You know what we need? Yeah, I'm going to have to make this now because I have so much extra time. We need to have a little chart with our ratings.
So we can see where we actually put
for
stuff.
each of the episodes.
Yeah, so we can see where we actually put stuff.
Yeah, but make it, like, really visual. Like, have a little icon of the show with it. Yeah. And, like, show where they rate. And see how consistent we are with this rating system. Because clearly, we're not very consistent.
I would, especially once we start putting other shows on the scale in comparison. I am curious where all this stuff ends up. I think seeing the chart would also make me insecure.
We're gonna look back and be like, what?
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, do you have any final words for our audience?
I think that's all I have. Yeah, I feel like I've said everything I need to say. And I loved the fact that we changed it up to something just wildly different. So, it was good.
I do too. It was a nice change of pace.
It was. It was short. It was maybe not sweet, but it was short. And so I'm going to keep cracking these jokes while I can. I have to. You've given me the platform. And so I'm going to keep rolling.
Oh, man. So, long story short, guys, if we've learned anything, it is if you find a quarter machine in the middle of the woods and it says, feed me, do not feed it.
Don't do it.
Run away.
Nope. You will be forever enslaved to a ghastly comedian who wants to take you on all of his crazy adventures. And he'll trick you and lie to you and convince you that it's all good.
You think you're going on the adventure of a lifetime, but you're really just, you're enslaved to insanity the rest of your life.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I do not recommend. Ever since watching this now, I just want to go find a quarter machine and see what I get. Like the mystery ones. I just want to know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's making me more scared because once again, I don't want to get tricked into getting a watch permanently stuck to me, you know?
I'm gonna go to Dollar Tree. That's what I should do. I should go to like Dollar Tree or someplace that has one of those quarter machines and just try a mystery one and report to the audience what I get.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
see
do
what
that.
Happens.
I got a yokai. No. Okay. Goodbye, people. It's late.
It is.
And we don't know how to stop these things.
We're landing the plane clumsily.
Goodbye.
It's bouncing. Everyone in the passenger seats are getting a little stressed. They're doubting the pilots, but we're landing the plane, everybody.
As they should. As they should.
The oxygen bags have not dropped. Your seatbelts are still fastened, but you will get off this plane. We promise.
It's been real, guys. Thank you for joining us on this flight.
Yep. Thanks for dropping in.
I'll see you. Bye.